Welcome back. We're in conversation today with Suhel Seth. You're friends with most of Bollywood. Who do you admire the most?
I would unequivocally say I admire Amitabh Bachchan a lot. I admire Dilip Saab. I admire Shah Rukh. I won't say admire Shah Rukh.
Suhel, one answer.
Bachchan, by far.
Why is that?
We grew up on him. We grew up on his cinema.
So it's like hero worship?
No, admire. Hero worship, I would perhaps not hero worship anyone but my parents. No one has had that much of an influence on my life for me to hero worship them. But Bachchan, I would admire for his sagacity, for his wisdom, for the enormous wealth of talent he brought to cinema. I mean, even today when we play Holi, which is the festival of colors, we start with Rang Barse. You know, he's become an intricate part of your life, and therefore you admire the guy. And you admire his willingness to continue despite any adversity. Those are people worthy of admiration.
You recently wrote your book, How to Get to the Top.
Yeah.
What made you want to write this book?
Actually, I wrote it at the behest of a very, very fine publisher called Chiki Sarkar. And she said, we want an honest book which actually talks about how to be socially successful. So that's what I did. And I'm delighted to know that it sold over 145,000 copies.
You mentioned in your book that it's very important to read. In fact, you've stressed upon the,
And I stressed in my interview with you.
Exactly. About reading and about being interesting. That be interesting. But how can you become interesting? Either you're interesting or you're not.
Not at all.
You can't acquire that trait.
No, but if you've interviewed 20 people, you've added to your interest levels. I mean, you now know about Pakistan politics. You now know about bachelors who are dubbed serial womanizers. I mean, look at your breadth of interest. So, you know, it's not about...
But Suhel, I was interesting to begin with.
So there you are. Well, you're an exception. But the reality is you've got to be interested in things.
Yeah.
And only then do you become interesting. We weren't all born interesting. We were born the same. You know, gender differences apart, we were all born the same. Then we acquired attributes which were either culturally indexed or academically indexed, and we became who we are. Then we became interesting to a certain set of people. You and I cannot be interesting to every person on this planet. If we were, I mean, you know, we'd have statues of ourselves. But the reality is, you must strive not to become interesting because the world wants you to be interesting. You must strive to be interesting because that is the only way people will be interested in you. So you're not desirous, but at the same time, you're cognizant. And what often happens is, we're so tunnel-visioned in our approach to life that we don't take these things into account.
You speak about friendships with the rich and famous.
No, friendships. The rich and famous are some media reviews that talked about. I've never used the word rich or famous.
But you are famous. You are friends with the rich and famous.
Also.
Also. But can they really be your true friends?
Of course they can.
Can they be your 2 a.m. friends?
Yes. The biggest myth is that because you're wealthy, you lose a bit of your soul. Incorrect. Wealth doesn't necessarily mean the loss of soul. Wealth doesn't necessarily mean the loss of respect for other people. There are wealthy people and there are wealthy people. There are some scoundrels who will use you for what you are.
But do you lose a bit of your soul when you're extremely famous?
Not at all. It depends. You see, ultimately, there is only one measure of unequaled success. The ability to have a good night's sleep. You know, people ask me, what do you want to achieve in life? I said, I've already achieved it. I sleep well at night. There's that Hindi saying, "Ghode bech ke sona." If you're guilty about your friendships or your relationships, or if you're guilty of manipulation or guile, you'll never be able to sleep well at night. So there are people who are wealthy, who are extremely decent. See, there's a difference between money and wealth. Wealth whispers, money screams. So you have to choose the right kind of person. And if that person is not the right kind of person, you won't even have to work at it. The relationship will automatically never, you know, fructify.
So you're planning on writing another book, aren't you?
Yes.
Tell us a little about that.
Well, there are 2 books that I'm planning. One is a book on the 10 people who destroyed India, but I may have to increase the list because with every
you
passing day...
You might have to get a new passport.
No, that I will need. So I'm applying to the Fiji Islands or the Maldives, but I'm worried about Maldives going under. Okay. So I have to keep that option open. So I'm doing a book, The 10 People Who Destroyed India, and my other is a work of fiction, which I can't talk about. But it's not pornographic or about women, so you can rest in peace.
What does the future hold for Suhel?
I don't know. I don't care.
Really?
I actually don't care. You know, this whole thing, so where will you
So
go from
like
here?
Free bird, free-spirited.
Yeah, with pretty
live
women.
Life to the fullest.
Absolutely, Epicurean.
With 23-year-old pretty women.
Or whatever. I hope it becomes 21. If she's old enough to vote, she's old enough to be on my
Well, you
arm.
know it can't go below 18 because then we'll have a problem.
That's why I said if she's old enough to vote,
Yeah.
she can be old enough to be on my arm.
Okay. What are the key ingredients to success?
I would say there are no ingredients. Success is not a dish. You know, this whole thing, so what are the 3 things that made you successful? And the guy says, I was this, I was this, I was this. No one cares. I don't know. Again, everyone defines success by their own barometers of competence and comfort. It's never about this or that.
Thank you so much, Suhel.
Thank you.
Thank you. You've been a fantastic and an extremely funny guest. But before you go, I have 10 very cute questions for you.
Sure. Are you copying Karan Johar? Where's the coffee? Where's the hamper?
The coffee came earlier. The coffee came earlier. You know, so there are 10 questions. Karan Johar better watch out. English rose or chambeli?
Chameli.
Cougar or college girl?
College girl.
Botox or Bikram yoga?
Neither.
You have to choose one.
Oh, God. Bikram yoga.
Zinat Aman or Praveen Bobby?
Both are equally miserable.
Zinat Aman or Praveen Bobby?
Zinat Aman.
BJP or Congress?
Neither.
You got to choose one.
Oh, why do you give us such terrible choices?
Well, it's the
I'd
least
much rather
favorite.
choose the Conservatives.
It's the least
but,
favorite.
the BJP, they're equally wicked.
Playboy or Times of India?
But again, Playboy.
Socialite or social activist?
Socialite.
Veena Malik or Malaika Arora?
Haven't heard of either.
Malaika Arora, you haven't heard of her?
Malaika, of course Malaika Arora.
Okay.
Patriotism.
Kanjar Khana or Zanan Khana?
Zanan Khana.
Pooja Bhatt or Pooja Bedi?
Pooja Bhatt.
And before we bid you farewell, Suhel, we always ask our guests to do something special for us. May that be read some poetry or act a certain role or something interesting or sing for us. What would you like to do?
Neither.
Suhel, come on, be a sport.
I've been on the couch for so long.
I know, but it's...
I mean, you know, just because you all want your TRPs to increase by me stripping doesn't mean I have to do it.
You don't have to strip.
I'm just joking. What should I do?
You could act role for us. Something from Bhutto?
Bhutto, there's one particular part. I won't act.
I mean, come on, you've got to put in the...
Yeah, but that'll be the
Baba
facial
boom.
movement.
This is Suhel Seth.
The facial movements will be enough because he's actually in a prison, so it's not as if he's prancing around.
Yeah.
And he looks at the audience and says, life has never been easy when you're in power. I know power. I know power like no one does. I also know the abuse of power which the present dictator has engaged in. But I also know that Pakistan alone is not a dictatorship. Indira Gandhi hated my democracy because I hated her dictatorship in the garb of a democracy. So power has strange bedfellows. Very strange. They know how to abuse it, but they also wait to win the next elections. So why would I be different? And why would I begrudge this prison cell? I will come back to where I belong. Power.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
And this is a play I did in 1986.
And you still remember all your lines.
Yeah.
I told you, you should have just stuck it out. You would have been the next Khan.
Anyway, I'll apply to be for you to do the ultimate season of Achievers.
Definitely.
And I'm just joking.
Thank you so much, Suhel. Thank you. It's been a fantastic. It's been fantastic.
Thanks.
It's been a complete joy.
Thank you.
That's okay. Men, they do cheat a lot.
You are this strong, independent girl who speaks her mind. How did you allow this to happen to you?
How many strong women out there in Pakistan don't get, beaten up by their husbands or so?